Here we go.
Okay.
Are we ready? We're ready. All right. Welcome to the Horror Corner. This is the show where we talk about scary things, spooky things, horrifying things, one might say. I'm Cody.
I'm Elle.
And today we're going to jump on a time machine before we talk about anything else, because this is going to be a doozy.
Oh God. Okay, straight to the time machine. Okay.
Yep, straight into the time machine.
Okay.
We're going to June 28th, 1900s. Nope, 1844.
Wow.
Already messed up. Cool.
Okay. I mean, hey.
This is the day that a man named John Boyle O'Reilly was born.
Okay.
In Douth County, Meath. Meath? I don't know. It's Irish.
Okay.
He's born in Ireland. That's where we are.
Ireland. Great. Okay.
Yes.
Love it.
John was a child of the Great Potato Famine that began just a year before he was born, and his family survived the famine, but when he was 13, his brother died of tuberculosis.
Oh, no.
Tuberculosis, aka consumption. Not the disease of eating too much, but...
Yeah. Definitely not eating too much potatoes.
No, definitely not.
Oh God, that was kind of insensitive. Okay.
It's okay. But that led to John taking his brother's place as an apprentice at the local newspaper. He was the son of a headmaster. He was the third out of 6, and the family was wealthy and patriotic, and they hated British rule. Because at the time, Ireland, the entirety of Ireland was part of the UK. Mm-hmm. And they were really pushing to be separate. So in 1859, John moved to Preston, Lancashire, excuse my horrible American accent, in England, which is in central United Kingdom, miles outside of Manchester, to live with his aunt and uncle, Christina and James Watkinson, where he worked at the local newspaper, the Preston Guardian. He worked there until he enrolled in the 11th Lancashire Rifle Volunteers in 1861. I did look at a map.
Okay.
Didn't help very much.
Oh,
I know where the border of Scotland and England is, sort of. So this is, I'm assuming, in the middle of the UK, mm-hmm. Which is close to the closest part, the main, or, well, I guess it's called the main island. I don't know how to describe land masses to you right now.
Yeah. I think
it's
I understand.
It's the closest part of the UK to Ireland.
Yeah. Okay.
As an island.
Got it.
Specifically Northern Ireland. Mm-hmm. So, so he received military training. Sorry, we'll just cut all of that out. That's not important.
Oh, well.
Okay. I'm trying to rush through this, and I made notes about the geography.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't rush.
But none of it makes sense to even me, so we're just going to skip that. He received military training while he was with the Rifle Volunteers, and then enlisted with the 10th Royal Hussars in Dublin, Ireland in 1863. While he traveled with the army, John saw how his fellow citizens were being treated and oppressed across the country, which had a major impact on his decision to join the Irish Republican Brotherhood in 1864. So the Irish Republican Brotherhood, aka the IRB, was more well known at the time as the Fenians in the United States.
Okay.
There were 2 wings of this organization: the Irish Republican Brotherhood in the U.S. that originally called themselves the Fenian Brotherhood before changing their name in 1867 to Clan Gael. And it's something in Gaelic that I cannot pronounce.
Oh, yeah.
And the IRB that remained in the UK. So those are the 2 wings.
Got
the Brotherhood advocated for Ireland to leave the UK and believed the only way they were going to do that was to get independence through armed revolution.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So they were gonna fight for it.
Love it.
John O'Mahony, one of the founders of the branch in the U.S., described the 2 groups' two main principles. One, that Ireland had a, quote, natural right to independence, end quote, mm-hmm. and 2, that they would get it by armed revolution. They believed in republicanism. That's not a word. It's fine.
Yeah, it is.
In which, sure, in which, quote, common people are the rightful rulers of their own destiny, end quote.
Okay.
This group established themselves in Australia, South America, Canada, and the United States outside of the UK.
Oh.
So they were very prominent around the world.
So, like, there was a group in Australia advocating for Ireland's freedom, kind of? Or?
More really just freedom from British rule.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, so, like, they kind of, like, spread to other colonies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Throughout the story, I just like assume that wherever they go is a British colony because Britain's a lot.
Yeah.
Britain's a bully. John was arrested along with several other members of the IRB in February of 1866 and sent to Arbor Hill Military Prison. On June 27th, 1866, just the day before his birthday, John was put on trial and charged with treason for actions associated with the Brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
He was initially found guilty and sentenced to death, but because he was only 22, the court decided to reduce his sentence to life in prison, later shortening it again to just 20 years of imprisonment with hard labor.
Huh. Okay.
So he attempted to escape prison twice, but both times he was recaptured and put in solitary confinement upon his return.
Mm-hmm. Not okay.
15 months after his trial, John was put on a ship called something that I also am going to muck up the pronunciation of, the Hougoumont?
Hougoumont.
Hougoumont. I don't know.
I think your guess is as good as any.
Sure.
Yeah.
He was put on that ship on October 10th, 1867. The ship carried 62 members of the IRB, including John, and 218 other criminals, and was on its way to the British colony in the South Pacific Ocean, also known as Western Australia.
Okay. Got it.
John O'Reilly, good old John O'Reilly, writer extraordinaire, started a newspaper while they sailed across the ocean called
O'Reilly.
The Wild Goose.
I know him.
You do?
Yeah. His name sounds vaguely familiar to like someone that we learned about in like an English class I took at some point in time. Or
yeah, I mean
or history.
He's a pretty what do you call it? Recognized poet,
renowned writer.
Renowned, yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So he started a newspaper on the ship called The Wild Goose. I don't know how they printed this. I don't know how this happened, but 7 editions were produced containing poetry, stories, and anecdotes from the convicts on the ship.
Nice.
The Hougoumont, no idea, arrived in Fremantle. Here we go with I tried to listen to how these things were pronounced, but with the accents, I'm just not going to sound authentic at all, and I'm so sorry.
We're sorry.
They arrived in Australia on January 9th, 1868, and John was put in the convict establishment, now called the Fremantle Prison, probably because they couldn't call every single prison a convict establishment. That's just my own personal feelings about it.
Gosh.
I don't know how you differentiate between convict establishments.
Yeah.
So that's probably why they renamed it. I don't know.
That's like such a euphemism.
Yeah.
It's an establishment. It's not a prison. It's wow.
No. A month later, he was transferred to Bunbury to work in a group of fellow convicts to build the Bunbury-Bustleton Road. At one point, he refused to cut down a tuart tree that blocked the path for the new road, and his refusal caught the attention of the warden's wife, which led to the news spreading to literally everyone.
Okay.
And that eventually led to the road being built with a slight curve around the tree to save it.
Oh, hey, nice.
And if you don't know what a tuart tree is, I didn't know what it was. I looked it up. It's basically just a giant eucalyptus tree, if you know what that is.
Yeah.
If not, look that up. It's very big.
Yeah.
And apparently there's a whole bunch of these in that area of Australia.
Yeah, and also koala bears live in eucalyptus trees.
That is true, and they're in danger. So as soon as you can, as soon as this episode is over, go donate to wildlife places in Australia.
Wildlife Australia. Yeah. That's actually not a foundation. I just said wildlife.
No, but yeah, PSA. Go save Australia. Where am I going? We're going...
Eucalyptus tree. They built a road around the tree because the guy made such a big stink about it.
Yes. So, well, in his mission to save the tree, John actually became friends with the warden, Henry Woodman, and was able to become kind of his personal assistant, helping with records and accounting and ordering of stores and acting as a messenger between the work camp and the prison in Bunbury, as well as between Henry and his family.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why did he want to save that specific tree so badly?
I don't know.
Okay.
I could not tell you.
Okay.
I have no idea.
It's just part of the legend or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. During his frequent visits to the Woodman family home, John grew close to two people, a Catholic priest named Father Patrick McCabe and the warden's very own daughter, Jessie. Okay. John and Jessie's relationship ended badly. I don't know if it ended because her dad found out or what, but John attempted suicide on December of 1868 due to the strain of the heartbreak ? Oh, God. Sometime after the relationship ended. Yeah. And a fellow convict found him in time and was able to get him medical attention.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Good. Father McCabe arranged for John to escape from Australia, and by the end of February 1869, the plan was set. John would skip work and meet up with another convict named James Maguire. And then they would go to the... Here we go. Geograph Bay. Not Geography Bay. I don't know. That's a typo on my part. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
They would go out to Geography Bay where... Forget it.
Geography Bay?
It's like geography. Instead of a Y, there's an E. So I think it's Geograph Bay. It's just, I can't say it for some reason.
It's a bay, you know.
Yeah, it's a bay. Yeah. Where a rowboat would be waiting for them to take them out to the Indian Ocean. Remember, they're in Western Australia, and so the Indian Ocean would be their coastline. Okay. And the Pacific Ocean would be on the eastern coast.
Got it.
So the captain of the ship they were supposed to meet up with via rowboat decided not to honor his agreement with Father McCabe and sailed by without acknowledging them. Oh. R.I.P.
What a passive-aggressive move. Damn.
Yeah.
Just keep on going? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So the two escaped convicts returned to land and hid for 2 weeks until they were able to strike a deal with the captain of a different American whaling ship. They met the Gazelle there. They met the Gazelle 3 miles out to sea in March of 1869, and this time the ship actually picked them up, so good. Cool. Originally, the Gazelle was supposed to take them to Java in Indonesia, but weather conditions prevented them from getting there, instead forcing them to sail to Rodriguez Maritas. I really tried to think about this before we started. It didn't happen.
It's okay.
And they sailed to an island nation in the middle of the Indian Ocean that was a British colony at the time. Authorities there claimed to have information about escaped convicts on their ship and boarded. And the crew gave up the third convict on board, who had blackmailed John into letting him join them on the rowboat to the Gazelle. Okay. But they didn't betray John, so he was fine. He was safe.
Okay. Huh.
I don't know about his original friend. Whatever happened to him, I have no idea. From Rodriguez, the Gazelle was supposed to sail to St. Helena, which was another British colony, and the captain advised John to switch ships before they arrived. So on July 29th, John transferred to another American cargo ship mid-crossing, and then to the Bombay at Liverpool on October 13th. When the Bombay landed in Philadelphia on November 23rd, 1869, John disembarked and was welcomed to the country by fellow Irishmen. From Philly, John went to New York and was invited to give a lecture at the Cooper Institute on December 16th, 1869, in which he told a story of his escape.
Cool.
Sorry, that was kind of like an info dump. I just realized.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of things happened to him on his way out.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He sounds like a fun guy to travel with, potentially.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's a writer. He's a storyteller. He probably has a lot of things to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
That said, he decided to further his writing career in Boston, so he settled down in a neighborhood in Boston that had a large Irish community. And his first official lecture in the United States in 1870 was called England's Political Prisoners. I don't know the meat of it. I couldn't find any information on the lecture or a copy of it or anything, unfortunately. But he also wrote for a newspaper / magazine called The Pilot.
Okay.
In August of 1872, John married Mary Murphy. She was a journalist who wrote for the Young Crusader under the pseudonym Agnes Smiley. And together they had four daughters, Mary, Eliza, Agnes, and Blanid.
What?
Blanid.
Blanid.
And I don't know. This is the one thing that I'm like, there's no way for me to figure out.
Yeah.
Like the other ones I can maybe guess. This one,
yeah.
Very out of left field. Not really sure what's going on.
Also, and with her sister's names too are like so like classic, and then it's just like Blanid.
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. What
she's up to or what her life was like, but I would love to know.
Yeah,
I would love to find out. Yeah. No news on what's going on with his daughters, but by 1871, so we're gonna backtrack a tiny bit. And this is really what made John O'Reilly kind of like what really solidified his name in stone. Mm-hmm. By 1871, several Fenians who were part of the same group that was shipped off to Australia with John, in 1866, were pardoned by the government. By this time, a lot of them were pardoned, like they were fine to go free as long as they didn't settle back in Ireland.
Okay. Which government though? By the
British government.
Okay, got it.
So yeah, pretty much all of them were pardoned at this point, except a small group of quote unquote military Fenians, who I assume just like were part of that same sort of like royal army that John was a part of. Yeah. So they had like actual military and like weapons training. Got it. So they're considered probably the most dangerous because they actually had training. Okay. And one of the pardoned Fenians who was living in England at the time received a smuggled letter from a man named James Wilson, who was still imprisoned in Australia. Mm-hmm. John O'Reilly was among those who conspired to rescue these remaining prisoners, and the Catalpa rescue commenced.
Yeah, I don't know that one, but
yeah. Yeah, so they plotted to buy a ship and sail it to Western Australia with perfectly legal cargo so they wouldn't look suspicious. Okay. And they convinced the Gaelic name of the Brotherhood to fund the rescue. Uh-huh. They bought a 3-masted whaling bark called the Catalpa for about $5,500, which is about $128,000 today, although I'm not sure if that's Australian dollars or U.S. dollars, but I assume since they bought it in the United States, it's U.S. dollars. Yeah, dang. They departed on April 29th, 1875, and got super off track because their navigational equipment was broken. Oh, surprise, surprise. And so they ended up landing on an island near Portugal where they dropped off all their cargo, and unfortunately most of the crew ended up deserting the ship. Mm-hmm. Okay. So after gathering a replacement crew, they set sail for Western Australia, only to get delayed again by a storm. Yeah. Which led to them finally touching down in Bunbury on March 28th, 1876.
What was the first island that they landed on? And how did they get a new crew together on a new island? I guess I'm like envisioning like landing on some a deserted island or something.
Oh no! This is like a what do you call it?
Populated.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Got it.
I can send you the island, or I can show it to you. I don't. There's like a bunch of volcanoes.
Okay. Ooh,
that ended up becoming like there's a group of 9 volcanic islands.
Okay.
Nearby Portugal, like slightly west of main continental Portugal. Yeah. Apparently, I'm googling this right now. Okay. And that's where they landed. So I assume they're inhabited.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah.
And people live there.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Catalpa landed there and got a new crew, and then got delayed by a storm. And 11 months later, after all of this, they finally touched down in Australia in March of 1876. And finally, the rescue could commence. The original escape was set for April 6th, 1876, but Royal Navy ships arrived, and they thought it was too risky to go through with it, so they rescheduled for April 17th.
Okay.
At 8:30 in the morning, the Catalpa dispatched a whaleboat to shore, and 6 of the Fenians still in prison snuck away from their work parties. Mm-hmm. They ran 20 kilometers, which is about 12 miles, south to where the whaleboat was waiting. Okay. This was also a rowboat.
Damn. Okay.
I think that's a typo on my part. Yes, it was a rowboat. Okay.
And so how many people were supposed to fit in the rowboat?
7.
Okay.
Nope, it's a whaleboat.
Oh,
but I mean, it's still a pretty small boat.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be a big boat.
Okay, got it.
But yeah, 7 people were supposed to be on this boat. One of them stayed behind.
Okay.
For some reason. I couldn't find out why.
Okay.
So, only 6 men made it to the boat. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, a storm in the night broke the whaleboat's mast on their way out to the Catalpa, and they were stuck out there all night.
Oh, tragic.
And also, just their luck, someone had spotted them on their way out.
Oh, no.
And reported them to the authorities.
God. Oh, my God.
So, the authorities caught up with them and tried to figure out where they were going, and then they figured out that they were going to the Catalpa, so then they were like, well, let's get them both.
Oh, God. Okay.
So, unfortunately, the Royal Navy ships could not catch up with the Catalpa on its way out to the Indian Ocean, and they were able to get away. So,
okay, nice.
This is good. Yes. Good news. They ended up making it all the way back to New York on August 19th, 1876.
Wait, so they made it back to New York?
Yes.
On the whaleboat?
No, they met up with the Catalpa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense. I got you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So they were able to get away.
Nice.
All the way back to New York.
Nice. Okay.
And that's kind of like the biggest thing that John O'Reilly's known for. He wasn't actually on the ship, I don't think. Okay. But he was the one to like write the story and release it to the press and all of that. He was part of like the
history class. That's how I know him.
Yeah, he was part of the like masterminds behind this Great Escape.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, cool. And in a 2015 update, a letter was found with the evidence that Jessie Woodman, the warden's daughter that he fell in love with and was supposedly having an affair with, it basically confirmed that affair and confirmed that she had been pregnant with John's child.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
She reportedly named after John, but the child didn't live very long after John escaped from Bunbury to America. / we don't actually know what happened to the child. We never heard about him after this.
So that could be a whole new missing persons true crime story. But probably not, because it's a long time.
No, yeah. I don't think there's anything to go off. I mean, we don't know enough about Jessie or like her relationship with John. Because her father married her off to a local man in March of 1869 after he found out about Jessie's relationship with John.
Ew.
And then they had a daughter together named Catherine, who's said to look like Jessie, but there aren't any photographs or paintings of Jessie that have been verified to make a like modern comparison.
Okay.
So, yeah. The final thing I have here is a little fun fact.
Okay.
Do you have a question?
Oh, I was just gonna comment on on Dad just like marrying people off and like I don't like that, but
Oh yeah,
anyways,
no, I mean it's
yeah,
not great.
you had a fun fact.
Yeah, so the final thing I want to bring up about this is that we have a little bit of a fun fact. I don't know if you've heard of 19 Crimes Wine.
No.
It's an Australian wine company.
Oh.
And let me pull it up before I say something completely incorrect. But all of their labels are named after criminals.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have heard of
they've
this.
got like criminals on them.
Yeah. Yeah, I forget where I heard it from. It might have been, and that's why we drink. But
yeah, so and that's why we drink has talked about them. Wine Crimes talked about them. Mm-hmm. Let me find out if they're actually Australian because I don't want to say something wrong. Mm-hmm. I didn't look this up before.
Okay.
You might have heard of their like living labels, where you can like scan it with your phone.
Yeah.
And the picture comes to life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of their criminals on their bottles is John O'Reilly himself.
Nice.
And the description on their website has they have a little description of him on their website, and it says, quote, "As a youth in Ireland, John Boyle O'Reilly was a member of the Irish Republican Brotherhood, or Fenians, for which he was transported to Western Australia. After escaping to the United States, he became a prominent spokesperson for the Irish community and culture. Mm-hmm. Through his editorship, Editorship, yes. Okay. Of the Boston newspaper, The Pilot, his prolific writing, and his lecture tours." End quote.
Nice. Woohoo!
Wow. John Me being sick has not improved my speaking skills whatsoever.
It what doesn't?
Being sick.
Oh, being sick. Oh, yeah. I feel it. I'm sorry.
But yeah, on their course they've got like crimes, like various crimes. Uh-huh. And on the bottles they all have a picture of a criminal with like a little fun fact.
Wow.
If you scan them, they like talk about their story.
Oh, I love that. I might actually start drinking wine if I get my hands on those. But
yeah, I mean, I think they've got some in stores. I could probably find a store and find some.
It's probably very expensive, I'm guessing, but
nope.
Okay.
They're from Napa, California.
Nice. Ooh.
Then why is this map so small? What happened? They sell it at Trader Joe's.
Oh, they do? Oh, I didn't know also that. KFC.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out.
We should take a trip to Trader Joe's together and film it.
Yeah, I will.
I just like have ideas and then I say them whether or not they're good ideas. But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so I definitely want a crime wine bottle. But
yeah.
Anyways. Cool.
Yeah. Well, also, I just want to say now that I've gone through this and I feel like we have a little bit more time. As sort of a transition period.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say that last week I learned what bubble pop. This is like at the top of my notes, so I feel like I have to say it at this point.
What bubble top? What?
Yeah. So last week I learned what bubble pop is, or like bubblegum pop. And it's a genre of upbeat music generally marketed towards preteens and teens.
Oh yeah.
So I guess dance pop, boy bands, and Europop all derived from it. All of which I actively listen to and enjoy. So I guess based on that. And the fact that I still actively follow Justin Bieber, I'm like a teenage girl stuck in a grown person's body.
Follow Justin Bieber, Cody.
Either that or Billie Eilish. I don't know. Like,
okay, well, I do love Billie Eilish. She's
I don't know. It's just weird to think about. I don't like that. So I'm.
Wait.
Maybe it's time to switch.
What don't you like?
What?
What don't you like?
Oh, like secretly being Billie Eilish. I don't know.
Oh. Wait.
I'd rather not be. It just
wait. Is secretly being Billie Eilish or wait? Is there a
Oh no, I was just
conspiracy?
saying like, oh, like either I'm just like a teenage girl stuck in a grown person's body, or I'm secretly Billie Eilish. That's all.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, if
I don't like
you,
the thought of either of that. So we're just gonna.
yeah, we're
I'm
just
going
gonna.
to switch music genres moving forward.
Okay.
Delete my Justin Bieber fan account and just move on with my life.
You have a Justin Bieber fan account. Do you really?
Yes.
Oh my god. Oh, this is so good, so funny. Oh, Cody. Um, I have some really good Southern Gothic music if you want it. If you want me to make you a
I don't
Spotify
know if that's the
playlist.
direction I really want to go through.
Oh
go
well,
to.
okay. It's like good. It's like Johnny Cash and um other people. Anyways, yeah. Okay, never mind. Fine.
My dad really likes Johnny Cash, and I'm not really about him.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, are we leaving the time machine now? Is it
I
time
guess
to
so,
go
unless we
into
have to go back further for your story.
Um.
My sister called me.
Oh, nice.
Oh no. She also texted me, so we can continue.
Okay.
She's trying to use my
everything
Adobe
good?
account.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, so mine starts in 1351, so we might want to go back there.
All right, yeah, I'll tighten my seatbelt and we can go.
Okay. All right. Oh shit, I was gonna do a joke or find a joke as an intro to this, but there's no time.
There's no time. The machine's already
There's no
in motion.
You already typed in 1351.
Yeah.
Okay, well, right now we're gonna go back to the conception of the Grim Reaper.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's gonna be interesting.
I know. It's great. I
Spook me with it.
a lot. Okay, so the Grim Reaper is a personification of death, meaning that we applied human form to a non-human concept like death. And there are a lot of different there are a lot of different personifications of death across most cultures, but like today I want to focus specifically on the classic robed scythe carrying skeleton that came out of 14th century Europe.
Got it.
Am I saying that right? Is it called scythe or scythe? Is it scythe?
I think it's a scythe.
Okay, scythe. Cool.
But I mean, we all just heard me try to pronounce things, so
yeah.
Don't.
Yeah, I don't have to feel bad about myself.
No.
God. Okay.
Never.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the Grim Reaper. We know him from cartoons and Sims. Yes, and Sims and pretty much a lot of popular culture stuff. But really, where the Grim Reaper came from as the specific personification was during the 14th century when the Black Death was in the process of destroying a third of Europe's entire population. So, even after the larger outbreak of the Black Death subsided around 1351, there were still local flare-ups for possibly centuries later. So everyday people in Europe at this time had to deal with seeing plague victims everywhere, whether at home or on the street. They saw dead bodies on the street, people in the last stages of the plague, where their skin would turn black and kind of crinkle up and stuff. Yeah. And people had to see their family members die of this. And no one really knew what the plague was. One, because we didn't have any idea of germs or infection or anything, which would be terrifying. It's what the heck is happening? So this led to a lot of feelings of despair, helplessness, fear, confusion. Survivors were led to wonder, what happens after you die? How much longer do I have to live? Why is this happening? And as folklore has revealed throughout history, when people can't understand something like death, we tend to put face and form to it. And in this case, the form we put on Death was the Grim Reaper. So that's just kind of the historical context around, like, that specific image of, like, the Sith and stuff. Like, Sims. I actually was thinking of Sims, like, the entire time that I was doing this low-key.
Yeah.
Great. And yeah, so like I said, there are many versions.
Wait.
Hey, go ahead.
I was just, if you're gonna, maybe you're gonna talk about it, but how did the Grim Reaper derive, or did the Plague Doctor image derive from the Grim Reaper, or I don't.
Oh yeah, I am gonna go into some of the symbolism behind the appearance. I actually didn't think a lot about the Plague Doctor, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, I was just wondering, because when you say plague, that's, like, the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
Besides, like, leeches, but that's not doesn't have anything to do with the Grim Reaper, so
rip.
Continue.
Literally rip.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of versions of the quote angel of death. Like, and now it's time for me to mispronounce everything. We've got Maveth in Judaism, who is the literal angel of death that God created on the first day of creation. Then there are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in Christianity. Death is one of them. Also, interestingly, Death's horse is supposed to be a pale green colored horse, which represents the color of sickness, which I just think is absolutely disgusting.
I don't know if I want. What if, like, I want a seafoam green horse?
Yeah.
I don't want, like, a nasty, sickly green horse. I want a seafoam green horse with, like, flowing mane. Maybe it's, like, made out of water, like the one in Moana. I don't know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think this horse is, like, diseased and green because maggots are eating its flesh. But
okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
There's, like, always that one, like, animal that nobody adopts, and I think it's going to be this one.
I mean, so true though. Rip. Yeah. But yeah, you do bring up a good point of, like, why can't we imagine death as, like, a more comforting nice figure? Exactly. And I will kind of address that later too.
Okay.
And yeah, and then there's also the Archangel Azrael in Islam who helps people cross. That's, like, I definitely don't know what I'm talking about Azrael in Islam, but he's the angel of death who accompanies people as they die, I guess.
Got it.
But I don't want to say crossover because that's a very Christian term. But anyways, yeah, so I've noticed that in a lot of the religious representations of the angel of death, there's a lot more opportunity for like positivity and kind of like comforting renditions. Like Azrael appears to people depending on how good they were in life. So, like, if you were, like, a terrible person and you did terrible things, then Azrael is going to come to you and be, like, a horrifying figure. But if you were a good person, then Azrael is going to appear as, like, kind of a comforting mentor. At least that's what I got from the Wikipedia paragraph about it. So I know that religion definitely had to have an influence on how the Grim Reaper legend was formed specifically, but I'm really interested by, like, the impacts of disease in everyday life and not just religion that they all had on creating the Grim Reaper as, like, this horrible, scary skeleton boy.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the symbolism and stuff. So we know the Grim Reaper as, like, this skeleton man with a black hood and a scythe, and sometimes he holds an hourglass.
I think it's a scythe.
Scythe, yes. You're right. Scythe. Yes.
Sorry, I just...
Oh, no, yeah, thank you.
I was going to let you say it, and then I was like,
no, please
doesn't
do
sound
not
right.
let me say it. Yeah. Oh, God. Did I ever tell you that my sister used to fuck with me by telling me that I was mispronouncing words that I was pronouncing correctly?
No.
I know.
That's so mean.
I know. Oh my gosh. But anyways, so I value being corrected.
Wow.
I know.
Megan.
Like, she says that she doesn't remember doing it, but I remember.
You know what?
It's fine. It's fine. Scythe.
She listens to this podcast. We can roast her all we want.
Yeah, it's fine.
She can't do a single thing about it.
She can't do it. She lives them.
No. Even better. We can mispronounce words. We can say words correctly, and she can't do a single thing about it.
Haha. Very true, Cody. On point. I'm just kidding. I love you, Megan. I love you so much. You're so beautiful and smart. Okay. Skulls and skeletons. Why does he appear as a skeleton? So, my theory and some other theories that I've gotten on this really helpful article on howstuffworks.com, which surprisingly was
love that website.
Yeah, it's good. So, like, with bodies just decomposing in the streets and, like, piles of corpses everywhere, people became very familiar with, like, skeletons, skulls, and bones. And just, like, symbolically, like, a skeleton is what is left after the earthly flesh decays. So, in a way, it represents the obliteration of the human soul. Which is pretty dark.
Yeah.
So that would make sense why, if people were seeing skeletons everywhere in real time, why they would imagine the angel of death as a skeleton. And then that
makes sense.
The black cloak part is pretty obvious. Black is like the color of mourning and death. And also in Europe, in a lot of Christian traditions, it's also the color of evil. But I'm always worried to say that black is the color of evil, because then that kind of racializes things. But
it's already been done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, a lot of people associate the Grim Reaper with being evil because he's, quote unquote, a black figure. And then aside...
R.I.P.
Oh, sorry. What?
No, I was just saying R.I.P.
R.I.P. Yeah.
To people's brains who still believe this.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. A scythe, or the scythe, is especially interesting to me because it's an agricultural tool used to reap or cut grass in grains. So I always thought that a scythe was like a weapon that you used in war or something.
Nope.
But it's actually an agricultural tool.
Very mundane item.
Yeah. So the agricultural associations with the Grim Reaper are like very stark in that way. And just as humans cut down stalks of grain, the Grim Reaper will cut down our souls. So,
wow.
I know.
That's really dark.
I know. Also, I just wrote that off the top of my head, and I'm really proud of it, low-key.
Nice.
And then there's the hourglass. I actually haven't heard, or had not heard of the hourglass before.
I mean, I assume it has something to do with, like, your time is ticking.
Yeah. In my notes, I literally just wrote time's up.
Yeah.
That was so the hourglass is like, a powerful symbol of time passing. But yeah, so that's kind of the symbolism stuff, and it's all very dark and scary. And I think that it's dark and scary specifically because that it came from the plague versus I don't know, like a more healthy, less scary perception of death, I guess. So
I mean, you assume from it's called the Grim Reaper. Maybe it's part of the Grimm fairy tales that got misconstrued. I don't. But also, I know that Grimm is not spelled the same way, and I know that it has nothing to do with them. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think that.
Did they ever? I don't. Maybe this is a story for another day. But do you know if they ever had a similar sort of figure in any of their stories?
The Grimm's brothers, you mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure that they did. It didn't come up in my research like at all though of the Grim Reaper, but
Okay.
I can look into that for.
I mean, it was just a question. I don't know.
Yeah. So, anyways, so this is all of the legend stuff, like the history, and then the symbolism behind everything. But did you know that people to this day actually still like have experiences where they see the Grim Reaper?
I mean, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer that.
Oh,
I'm thinking I believe it happens, but in like the sense that like people see the light and then they like come back or whatever.
Yeah, I mean the answer is yes, because now I'm going to tell you 3 stories of people who claim to see the claim to have seen the Grim Reaper.
Okay.
The credit goes to mysteriousuniverse.org that compiled like a lot of different stories. And I picked 3 that were just my favorites, so I'm gonna run through them super quick. But I feel like it just shows like how prominent of a figure the Grim Reaper still is. That people are having like quote unquote paranormal experiences with him. Okay, so the first story reads, I have my own story to tell of the Grim Reaper coming to visit a loved one. It was early 2000. My great-grandfather woke one morning to tell us of a dream he had the night before. He said, quote, "The man with a sickle came for me last night," end quote.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That immediately sent a chill right through me. He continued by telling us that the doorbell rang, and when he opened it, there stood a hooded man with a sickle in hand. He looked at my great-grandpa and said he was there for Jacob. He said his last name also. When I asked my great-grandpa what he then said, he proceeded to tell us that he told the entity that he had the wrong house and slammed the door shut in its face.
Wow.
That caused each of us to let out a giggle or two and set our fears aside for the time being. We knew it would not be long before we lost him, as he was saying other things relating to the, quote, other side. A few months later, my grandpa died at the age of 92, 3 days following my great-grandma. Yeah, so that's the first story. And then another story is one where the Reaper is warning someone of illness. And this story is told by a niece of an aunt. Or a niece is telling her aunt. Yeah. So, okay. Frozen with pure terror, she tried to scream, but no sound came out. As her eyes adjusted, she could see the creature's face. It had a very small head, about the size of a grapefruit, on its enormous shoulders. Its face was wrinkled and saggy, shriveled like a rotten apple. The eyes were like jet black dimes. It was draped in what my aunt described as an Eskimo's coat, thick with fur lining. In its gloved hand, it held a little pink sippy cup. After a minute of the creature's unsettling stare, it dropped the sippy cup onto the floor and walked away. When Amy regained motion again, she grabbed John's hunting rifle and cautiously cleared the house. She checked the children who were still asleep in their beds and then called her husband and my mother. The next morning, she found the sippy cup and her remote lying in the middle of the hallway. Amy described to my mother that the creature that visited her felt like death. 2 weeks later, at the age of 25, Amy was diagnosed with terminal cancer.
Oh.
I know. Yeah. And also, the stuff with the sippy cup was because Amy, the aunt, had been looking for that sippy cup throughout the house like all day. And then suddenly the Grim Reaper shows up with it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sad.
It makes me question like the Grim Reaper's motives. Like Is he there to warn you about death because he's like, ha ha ha, I'm gonna come and get you,
I know, yeah.
whether you like it or not? Or is he like trying to be nice about it? Like,
yeah,
hello,
that's like,
knock knock, you only have this many days left. Like,
yeah, that is a question that I have been thinking myself and also come upon. Like, why? What is he doing and why? Or is it just like...
Can you just imagine, like, the Grim Reaper knocking your door, be like, "Hey, knock knock, sorry to interrupt, but I'm here too. I'm so sorry to tell you this, but yeah, would you like some cookies here? I think you should sit down for this.
Yeah,
like you have 2 days left to live.
Yeah, and gently puts Hourglass on the table, like, all right, time's almost up, dude.
You know, puts his scythe on the floor, or like leans up against the wall, hangs up his cloak. You know, like. Make some tea.
And that would be a good short story, dude.
Oh man,
that'd be really good. Yeah. Did you ever read The Book Thief by chance?
I have not finished it.
It is so fucking good.
I know. I started it and I don't know what happened to the book itself.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. It got lost in my sea of books back home, so.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said in your sea of books back home. Like Scythe. God damn it. I'm still mispronouncing it. Oh my god. Yeah, but it is so good, and it does a lot with like the Angel of Death and the Grim Reaper and stuff, as you know.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to see if I can check it out from the library or something.
Yeah, it was my favorite fucking book in all of in middle school. I think I read it in 9th grade, and that was when I knew that I wanted to study English because it just like hit me so hard. Oh, that book is so good. Anyways, yeah, highly recommend. The Grim Reaper is the narrator in that book, so.
Okay. Yeah, I did not remember that.
Yeah, it's so good.
Okay.
Do it. Okay.
I will look into it.
Okay. So this is a story where a small child sees something, and yeah.
Okay.
So here it goes. I turned and saw it beside my bed. There stood a small, dark figure about 3 feet in height, wearing a black cloak with a hood, no face, about 2 feet from my face. It looked like a small Grim Reaper without the blade. I was in shock but not scared. I looked at it for about a minute, and then it turned, glided out of my room. I got out of my bed and followed it down the hall to my grandmother's room, where it faded away. And so with this story, it explains that the person kept seeing the Grim Reaper do this, like lead the girl out to her mother's or to her grandmother's room, and then it would fade away, and it did that until the grandma died. So.
What?
I know, yeah. It's just almost creepy.
Sorry, this sounds a little bit insensitive. How long did it take for the grandma to die then?
I don't think it mentioned it in the...
Because, like, if you're just leading them to the grandma for, like, years...
Yeah.
Just like, okay...
Yeah.
This isn't fun anymore.
Yeah. I mean,
what's happening?
The way that was written made it seem like it was kind of a long-term thing.
Like, even weeks. It's like, okay, is it today?
Yeah.
Today? No.
Also,
today? Like, we really don't know how much time she has left.
There's
also no way to know.
Creepier. It's almost creepier to me that it's like 3 feet in height. Like,
yeah,
just like
that makes it so much worse.
Grim Reaper, and then it glides across the floor, and that just seems incredibly uncanny to me.
At first I thought, 3 feet tall, maybe it's like a young Grim Reaper or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like trying to steal her face.
Oh.
Because it's like when they're young they don't have a identity yet. Like they haven't solidified. I don't know how to explain this.
I hate that. Trying to steal someone's face. Oh god.
Which is like they're just born as a Grim Reaper, and it's just like, okay, I need to
Oh god.
I need the face of someone that like maybe the person who's dying is more familiar with.
Yeah.
To comfort them on their way over to wherever.
Oh god. Dude, you should write a book of
That's a short story.
Yeah, you should write a collection of Grim Reaper short stories. If you don't do it, I will. So
okay. Can I dictate them to you?
Yes, for sure.
Then we can co-author.
Yeah. We could. I'm free tomorrow if you want to dictate them all.
I am not free tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh well. Oh, actually, I have a job interview tomorrow, so no.
Oh, well, that's way more important.
Yeah, low key. Okay, well, that concludes my Grim Reaper story. Oh, wait, one thing that I want to say is that I want to put a bookmark on this because I am very interested in going into, like, other examples of the Angel of Death in other traditions, like, the Jewish Angel of Death, whose name I can't pronounce. Oh, the Mavith.
Well, what else is
the Mavith? God, I feel like I need some more like guttural in there, but I don't know. But yeah. So,
what about the one from Death Note? What is it called?
Death Note.
It's the Japanese god of death.
Oh,
never mind.
Never seen Death.
I watched too much
Note.
Anime. It's fine.
I watched 2 episodes of Death Note because there was a girl in high school that I had a crush on and she wanted to watch it. So I invited her over and then we watched 2 episodes, but I honestly hated it. I only liked it because
what? It's so good though.
I know. I just didn't like the whole gross boy gets a nosebleed when he sees a boob kind of thing.
Oh, well I don't know how you watch any anime then.
No, exactly. I don't watch anime. I just watched those 2 episodes with Darby because I was in love with her. But
okay, well, I think you're missing out on a greater story.
Okay,
but that's okay because we're here with a dog palate cleanser, and you're not going to miss out on this. Okay, so we've got another post from the Golden Ratio today because I am just obsessed with them.
You're just going.
Yes. So I'm going to send it to you real quick on Facebook. Okay. Here you go. That's for you. And it's a picture of Venkman, the youngest dog in the squad, on a kayak. And the caption is, "Yes, hello. I am your kayaking instructor, Venk. Keep an eye out for sharks as we paddle today. They often like to be pet, but please get their consent first." And there's a little shark emoji.
Oh. And the link is still loading for me, but it sounds adorable.
But yeah, no, she's amazing. She's my favorite out of all of them. Oh, honestly.
Something went wrong. Try again.
Oh, R.I.P.
Yeah. Oh, I see it. Ah, look at it. It's so cute. Oh my gosh. Yeah, definitely. We gotta post that somewhere.
I'll retweet it on the Twitter.
Okay, do it. Okay, should we go over where you can find us, Cody?
Oh gosh, it's been a long time. Let's see if I still got it.
We always you can find us on...
Huh?
Oh, no. Go ahead. Okay.
You can find us on Twitter at Horror Corner Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Horror Corner Podcast. You can find us also on YouTube, where you should be listening to all of our episodes. And surprise, you can also, just now, as of last week, find us on Spotify. So that's amazing news. You no longer have to watch 1 to 2 hour videos on YouTube, where you should still be subscribed to us, so you can get the latest updates, because not all the episodes are up yet on Spotify. We're also really, really close to being on all of your other favorite platforms, such as like iTunes and Stitcher and radio.com and all of that jazz. So we're closer to being more widely available, and we're really excited.
And more professional, hopefully.
Yeah. So if you have any comments, suggestions, reviews, you can email those for the moment to horrorcornerpodcast@gmail.com. Just while we get iTunes set up and stuff, we don't currently have that review system quite yet. Mm-hmm. So for now, just continue to leave comments down below on YouTube, or send them to our Gmail at horrorcornerpodcast@gmail.com. You can also send pictures of only dogs, because I do not accept any other dogs.
How do we
Those can go to a separate email that Elle will set up themselves at some point.
No! It's not my responsibility. It is your responsibility to love all of God's creatures.
Oh, I you know I do.
Yeah.
You know I do.
I know. Even the Grim Reaper.
If you would like to fund Elle's time for making that email, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/horrorcornerpodcast. And that's all I have.
God damn it, Cody. Okay.
Goodbye.
Well, okay. Great. Thanks so much for listening to us. That's gonna do it for us for today. We really appreciate your audience and your love and support, which I assume you love and support us if you're listening to us. But thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Okay. Bye.
Bye.